Balls. What up, virgins? Podcast drop soon. Today. Later today. This morning. I'm actually doing it right now. Do do do. Hmm. Kind of goofy. Let's see. Man, I wish I could play that fucking Battle Eye. Anti-cheat motherfucker. I was gonna get Battlefield 6, but these motherfuckers straight up decided to put insane level Battle Eye. Not Battle Eye, I forget what it's called. It's called something. It's whatever. Nothing but thank you, appreciate it. There's kernel level Battlefield 6 now is requiring kernel level access easy anti-cheat. Insane. Can't even fucking play it. Kind of pissed. Because I wanted to play it. And now I would never, first off, I would never install Windows, and I would never install a game that requires that. That's insane. These game companies requiring deep in your balls level access to your system to play a fucking video game is ludicrous. And the bootlickers are like, oh, just don't play game, dude. Just don't play game. Okay. Yeah, don't play the game, actually. Bankrupt the companies, and then maybe they'll fucking learn. And people that just bend the knee for a Vigi game is crazy. Mine is the window. Like, if you don't want to, like, if you want to use Windows, unfortunately, in 2025, that's fine. But if you need kernel level access to combat your cheating problem, you know, probably shouldn't be playing that game. Get a console at that point. Like, quite literally, no point in PC gaming. Just get a console. Go out, buy an Xbox, take the Xbox, put it on like a separate, like, segment your network, put a VLAN up, make a bullshit Microsoft account if you have to, pay their $60 fucking extortion fee to fucking have access to play games, but at least it's not digging deep into your PC's guts in a non-sexy way. It's straight retarded in 2025 to even game, man. I'm concerned that GTA is gonna do this. They're gonna be like, and of course GTA fans don't fucking care. They're like, oh, I don't care, brother. Sign me up. I don't care if I have to put Rockstar's cock straight in my mouth. It's retarded. Frightening, actually. Because if we haven't learned anything from all the hacks, even wash from the hacks, Windows Virtual Machine in Winboat just remind me of how fucked up Bill's Microsoft dick made Windows. Windows 10 has ads that pop up from microdick. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. And by the way, if you get oh wow. So this is from what I understand. We're gonna do that. Oh no, I did the wrong spider. Fuck. So if Windows 10, if you need security updates for Windows 10, the last Windows, quote unquote, you have to either pay $100. I think it was like they wanted $100, which, all right, whatever. And to think you're paying $100 for the yeah. They backtracked it. I think they backtracked it. For Americans, there's a way around it, but you have to sign into a Microsoft account. So you have to pay. You have to backtrack for these fucking losers. You have to backtrack for these fucking losers, and you have to, now you have to have an account. I think I'd rather pay the $100 if it was there was no account needed. Ooh, yikes! Come on, give me land. Like, why even use it at this point? Ooh, I'm gonna lose. Yeah, I lost this one. Damn flying fucking cucks. Roblox and Microsoft, Microdick have very similar business practice, and Roblox is made up of pedophiles as staff. Microdick might have had pedophiles in there too, probably. Look, I don't care about a company wanting to be profitable. I get it. I have nothing against with a company wanting to make money, minus the license fee that you have to pay for fucking Microsoft that you don't have a choice, and you literally are paying for it inside the laptop that you're buying. So you're indirectly handing these cucks fucking money. And again, because there's not too many options when it comes to free and open source software, like you don't have a lot of choices. Like when you just walk into the store, you have to buy shit from Europe. Or from a company like System 76. And the only reason I didn't go with System 76, there's a specific reason. I've read on a consistent basis that System 76 and CubesOS do not mix very well at all. I've heard people's experience. I've read through forums that it is not a fun time. Otherwise, I would have bought from System 76. I probably would have gotten my laptop faster. It's the same price. And then, furthermore, I read into that it's not relatively the best. They don't incorporate Core Boot the most, I guess, like proper way from what I've read. I don't know if that's true. Take that with a grain of salt, but it is just something I thought about. So I heard Nova Custom is by far one of the best regards next to Nitro, but they're both from fucking Europe, so it don't matter. And Nova Custom was slightly cheaper, kind of. Their support, I was looking at Newegg today because why not? And the game pre-builds that come with Windows 11 Pro and are marketed for AI. Computer market these days are fucked up and Microsoft. Yeah. You don't have a choice. First off, if you buy a pre-built PC, you're retarded. You're such a retarded person. PCs aren't even that hard to build. So the thing is, streamers and the market have made PCs look unaffordable and difficult to build. Might as well stay with a 15-year-old hardware that's not marketed for AI. Yeah. Look. PCs aren't that hard to put together. A blind retard in his basement could put together a PC with handwritten instructions from a deaf retard. They could build a PC in the afternoon. For a very inexpensive cost, by the way. Again, we've hit the delusional status that PCs are hard to build and that it's like it's not cheaper to buy a pre-built ever. And except for the one time rare occasion, rare instance where graphics cards were being scalped and raped and you had no choice. And don't even get me started on gaming laptops. Remember Alienware? Gaming laptops are a fucking dog shit excuse to even spend money. Alienware dominated for some unknown reason. I remember people would brag. They're like, oh, I got Alienware. I'm like, so you wasted money. They're like, it's really not that bad, guys. Guys, it's kind of based. No, I'm much build a PC myself. Pre-builds are actually worse than a deaf, blind, handicapped retard. Oh yeah, of course, pre-builds. Always build your PC. I'm just saying, I think people overestimate the complexity of it. What a delicious fucking thumbnail. What? It baits in the Gooners. And then they find out it's just some retard talking about Linux and playing Magic. But yeah, no, doing your own pre-build, building your PC is rewarding. It doesn't even take that long. And after you build it once, you're fine. I think the biggest nuisance is Molex connectors. They're kind of annoying and goofy looking in cable management, but I mean, it's not that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying, player? Yeah, we're gonna pick this one. Oh, I should have made thoughts on Raptors, TailOS, and Blackbird. I have to look that up. I saw that, I don't know why this made my brain come in, but I saw that the Rust-based version, no Intel management, AMD PS, audible firmware stack, and you control secure boot keys. Yeah, that would be the most optimal. You could disable Intel management system with Nova Custom, which is what I did, and I like, because I don't see the benefit or the need for it. Core boot gives me open source firmware, not completely open source compared to like LibreBoot, but LibreBoot is severely less funded. But I have to look into Raptors, Talos 2, and Blackbird. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but I just remember TaloFS, decentralized distributed block storage, which is kind of funny. I was also looking at heads plus core boot, but I don't necessarily have a need for it, and you can't encrypt it. You can't encrypt it from what I read, so I was like, kind of, I'm gonna take advantage of this. Yeah, I'm gonna take that. I would rather just encrypt my drive, and I can actually upgrade to core boot later. There's a way I can install it afterwards and get it to work with core boot. Well, heads. Sorry, I can get heads to work with core boot afterwards. Hopefully, trench boot takes off. That'd be kind of sick for the support on the Linux side. That'd be kind of sick. And and then there is a trusted platform module for the Raspberry Pi that's being worked on right now, which is even more sick. We're gonna block you. Oh, hey, no. Cancel. No blocks. But, I believe that Tor's Rust-based version, rewrite is in the work. I think it just got an update. It's workable now, if I'm not mistaken. We're gonna pick you. I'm just not in... I'll look at Raptors, Talos 2, and Blackbird in a second, though. Oh, isn't Blackbird that decentralized, that new, like, what Tor... It's like another peer-to-peer net. I think we looked at that on stream. I think we looked... that's like... It's like a protocol, more or less. I think I watched. We looked at that. It was kind of. It's very interesting. They kind of explained it a little goofy. And I get the confusion. Definitely an interesting. Intel makes you pay more for undervolt overclocked, while AMD's, I think, film Tricore were, from what I know, just quad cores, but one core was disabled for stability. They let you enable it though. I will give AMD the upper leg that they are more in favor of the open source side. Obviously, open source microkernel at the chip level is kind of complex, and I don't think... Oh, they fucked up. I can take all the damage. I think. Oh. Well, no, we're good. Yeah, we're gonna do that. No vendor management engines. Power 9 platform with open audible boot chain. Yeah. I think that it should be a choice. I understand the Intel management system came probably from an enterprise like level, just like VPNs did. But now, but it's kind of like one of those things that, like, hey, it's just being abused. And underclock overvolt all the CPUs without having to pay more. Yeah, that's kind of goofy. And I agree that I think that is well, that's what RISC-V is supposed to do. It's supposed to be more open source on the CPU level architecture. It's just not there yet. ARM was kind of heading in that direction, but I think that because they're a company and they got bought out and they care about shareholder price, it's kind of a problem. I just measure it takes you 6 scrolls to see nasty shitty pre-built for 850. That's kind of funny. I did see that oh shit, I mean undervolt overclock instead of underclock. Yeah. You know, vice versa. Raptors, I need to check this out again. I do like the idea of other I guess my biggest problem oh, interesting, never mind. I'm not in. Is this what you're referring to, Sam? Raptor Computing Systems? Woo! $10,000. This is awesome. Let's see. Secure working includes a heavy-duty chassis, redundant. Ooh, power supply. A single TalOS main board. Interesting. The TalOS 2 mainboard is the first modern post-2013 owner-controllable workstation and enterprise-class mainboard built around the brand-new IBM Power 9 processor and leveraging Linux and open power technology. TalOS allows you to secure your data without securing performance. Designed with fully ownership-controlled CPU domain, you can audit and modify any portion of the open-source firmware and TalOS trademark to mainboard, all the way down to the CPU microcode. Wow, this is based, actually. This is an unprecedented level of access of any modern workstation or enterprise-class machine, and one that is increasingly needed to assure safety and compliance with new regulations such as EU's GDPR. An owner-controlled CPU-based secure boot mode is also available at any time when secure boot is properly configured, and if mainboard is located in the physically secure environment, data center, lock workstation case, you can be assured that only your pre-approved and pre-audit firmware, kernel, and user space components are executing on TalOS trademark systems. 2 Power 9 compatible CPU sockets, EXT form factor. That's a big boy. Hellraiser by Ozzy Osbourne and Motorhead is an awesome song. This is going to be controversial, Billy. Only 16 gigs of RAM, though? Somebody call the police, because this guy just violated me. me now flexing with Cubes OS. 4 cores per package, software, power, IOMU, hardware virtualizations, extensions, 90 watt TDP, additionals. I'm assuming this is obviously not a gamer. Let's see. Oh, they got rack-mounted servers. That's kind of sick. Desktop development system. Laptops? Laptops, no? No? Interesting. I showed to a nihilist the other day, and he thought it was badass too. Very cool to see no Intel ME alum. Yeah, this is very interesting. Blackbird's secure desktop. It seems, I wouldn't say it's out of, I wouldn't say it's overkill for anyone. One of my favorite other YouTubers, Sun, the fuck's his name? This meme's so funny. So RTP kind of explained how PGP works with me, and then Sun.
Hey, Sun here. I'm a privacy and security.
This guy, Sun Knudsten, he's some, I don't know. He's like, he does something called Superbacked, which is based. Superbacked's really cool. But he talks about like how in public he actually types who's buying Jeeps and on Newegg. That's true. Newegg is wonderful. It might be talking too much on them, but the car accessory category has a Jeep as the icon and Intel above AMD. And that's kind of funny, actually. This guy actually brings a black keyboard cloth. It's like a specific type of cloth for computers that you put over your keyboard when you're typing, so that computer cameras, I know it seems like kind of overkill, but when they're in public, when he's in public and he's like developing, say he's typing his keys for like crypto or like private keys in development where you don't want those exposed or passwords exposed, he covers his keyboard with a black cloth in order to prevent anyone staring at his keyboard and it being captured. It's kind of crazy and something that I think people don't even think about. Just hiding your keyboard from being captured by cameras. If you do anything in public, say you're at a coffee shop or etc. Something that I didn't think about, but it's kind of interesting, and he's done a lot of stuff on air-gapped PCs. Very, very cool channel. Very based. Very interesting concept. Very short, chill kind of guy. But he likes Apple, so that kind of, he lost me there. But this is kind of cool. Does it mute the keyboard too? It doesn't mute the keyboard, but if you have a non-mechanical keyboard, you could. That's funny. If you had a non-mechanical keyboard, you're probably safe. I'm assuming most laptops don't have mechanical keyboards. Which is something to think about. Ars Tech, this shit Cyber News. God, I really do not like this site. They're like, ugh, Cyber News is just fucking cringe. But apparently, they found a way to read audio from mouses. Hacked mouse audio. It can read something from the yes, here it is. Cybersecurity news. Don't know about this site, so take it with a grain of salt. But new Mike E mouse attack lets hackers exfiltrate sensitive data by exploiting mouse sensors. That's crazy. Do I think most of this stuff is like esoteric and probably mass people like don't have to really worry about it, but should be aware of it? Yeah, kind of. But like, if you have a high threat model, you should probably just throw out your mice. Where we were talking about, who was it? DistroTube. I think I saw a video. Yeah, DistroTube having the optical ball on the side mouse. This might defeat it. But pretty much, key is ABC123 secure environment mice e-mouse program can keys. Yeah, I can like. There's a way they can. It's gamer mouse actually. It's gaming mice that can do this because gaming mice have a higher optical input. They probably can listen to higher frequencies. It uses FOSS software as exploit in it, and then yeah, this is kind of like the chart for it. FOSS software is exploited as adversary man in the middle. attack injection through the mouse, the MyC mouse, deployment through this. Probably this is the command and control server processing extracted speech. That's kind of that's crazy. Kind of cool though. But I don't know how. The problem is controlled environments. Controlled environments always have the perfect conditions. Like if I just fart all the time, I'm probably safe because I'd be farting. So like they won't hear my passwords. We're good. We're good, guys. Just always be farting or something. That's all you got to really do. But this isn't what I was talking about. There's that new guy that started, he did a protocol. I kind of want this Talus trademark for you rack mount server for no reason. Like no cap. If it wasn't $14,000. I always thought Van X freaking was the most badass shit, except, especially since it came out when I was born in 85. Oh yeah, like where you could do freaking over phones with like fucking noises, and it like bypassed like long distance calls or something to make it free, that is kind of cool. And $6,000, guys. Secure desktop. I just don't like how this looks. I want my desktop to be in tower form. Ooh, 32 gigs of RAM. ECC registered memory though, baby. But ew, boo, NVIDIA GPU. I mean, let's be real, guys. No, look it up. I'm talking about the one that put a computer fan right below your mouse and plug it in. Boom, Mikey mouse gone. True. See, Billy thinking with the big brain. Van. Let's see. 6 minutes. Yeah, we can do that.
Welcome to Reverse Engineering News. I'm your host, Hash. Thanks for joining. This week, we're going to look at VanEck phreaking, which is like stealing signals from monitors and cables, a cool feature that was added to the ImHex hex editor, and a German blog I think you're going to find super
Remember, I got to pause just enough so I don't get copyright strikes, guys.
interesting. Now, what you're looking at right now is a demo I set up. I downloaded this thing called GR Tempest, and it is a receiver which can receive signals leaking from HDMI cables. There's a Raspberry Pi setup that's going to a monitor as our source, and a software-defined radio with an antenna pointed at that HDMI cable. Basically the connection between the cable and the little connector that steps it down to a mini HDMI. The data that's leaking from there is received by the software-defined radio, decoded.
Oh, picking up a monitor's RF leakage with an antenna receiver? Wow, that's actually kind of cool.
It's able to synchronize.
Because HDMI probably has to give out some like form of signals, and radio frequencies can't be encrypted anyway, so the Pi he's using has probably costed him $50. But with inflation, $150, $89.
Synchronize it so that it locks onto it, and you're seeing it in real time there. Depending on what kind of amplifiers you add and which antenna you use, you can receive signals from varying distances. Not super far, but far enough that you could see what's on somebody's monitor if it was facing the other way. It's super cool. I set it up basically because I was bored, and I thought, hey, that's a pretty interesting looking thing I saw on Twitter. I'm going to see if I can do it, and it only...
Introducing Deep Tempest, a deep learning method to recover great quality images from unconditional electromagnetic radiance of HDMI. Great work. Wow. Let's open this link in a private window of Tor. DOD has a cert that cables has to cert the cables they use. Oh, the Department of Defense. Equipment or the system has been certified to meet the application level of NSTISSAM Tempest or previous edition, typically categorized level 1 for the highest containment of classified signals. Level 2 for the moderate containment of classified signals, and level 3 for the least contaminant. Oh, interesting. Computer Science Resource Center. No cap. I think it's good to have standards and kind of figure out, like, can I buy this when the Cat 7 HDMI cable coming out so that vending free is not an issue? When is Cat 7? No, it's not private. Can't do that, guys. Don't want to get yeeted by the DoD. You know what? It's probably just an extra layer of aluminum foil on this cabling or something. But the Department of Defense spends an extra $7,000 per cable. Like, they're getting charged like $7,000 per cable because they don't know how to budget correctly. They're like, yeah, guys, why do we spend $150,000 a month on HDMI cables? For science. That's cool. That's actually interesting. Tempest certified equipment or system. Even, I would say, what are they called? Skiffs. Skiffs are, like, very cool. Skiffs are, like, kind of interesting, like, just blocked off or secure environments. National Security Agency Tempest Certification Program. God, I would just love to get government contracts, guys, where I can sell these retards this stuff. Tempest certified equipment refers to electronics devices that have undergone rigorous testing to ensure they do not emit unintentional electromagnetic radiation that could be intercepted or exploited to reconstruct sensitive data, thereby preventing eavesdropping or data leakage. The certification is essential for the protecting classified information of high security environments such as military facilities, government offices, and secure corporate settings. The certification process involves evaluating and controlling emissions. They got to give the cables stylish foil hats. You don't understand the immense amount of stylishness and one can have from something hidden in the cables. Yeah, guys, it's just tinfoil. But often based commercial off-the-shelf cost technology has been modified and retested to meet the Tempest standards. The certification process is overseen by national authorities and national bodies such as NATO Information Program. Man, too many fucking... Can one thing happen with the government and they just stop fucking making these long-ass names? NIA PC. I'm gonna see certified HDMI. Can I buy this? Off the shelf, guys? Is it possible? There is no such thing as Tempest certified HDMI cable in the context of consumer legislation or standards. The term Tempest refers to a set of standards, practices, and interesting. Aw, man. High security systems, not standard consumer cable certifications for enhanced security, especially in some environment using shielded or certified cables. Okay. Is this it? Is this the cable, guys? Will this protect me from my GPU being spied on? General presentation. How will I know this is... There's this one YouTuber that did HDMI over what do you call it, fiber, which was kind of sick. I just think about that. That lives rent free in my head. I can FOIA, Chris. How much does the DoD spend on HDMI cable? Actually, funny story. I talked to someone that worked for the Department of Defense for spending. I bet the DisplayPort boys have gotten themselves a foil hat cable you can buy. I bet $1. Scamming is an art. True. I talked to someone that worked for the Department of Defense, like in their pay receivables, like they saw like oversight, like the budget and everything, and they're like, yeah. I was like, what's the dumbest thing they spend money on? And they said paint. Like they overspend a lot of money on paint. Like they have to repaint these things, like certain things. They got to be to an insane standard. What? The U.S. Department of Defense does not pay $10,000 for a standard HDMI cable. The high price is sometimes cited for not the cable itself, but for the extensive testing, certification, and secure supply chain requirements necessary for mission-critical, classified, or defense applications. For example, cables used in the environment like submarines or nuclear facilities must meet stringent standards. God, I gotta... Please let it be... $10,000 a cable, guys. NSA approved vendors. NSA certifications of a Tempest. Okay. Advanced programs. Collins Aerospace. These are probably all run by retards. But they got the government contracts, guys, so they're really the smart ones. Unclassified? But what are the classified ones? The ones that we don't know about. The secret HDMIs that can deliver 9K resolution. This is what the government doesn't want you to know about, guys. They don't want you to know that there's 9K resolution. 17K resolution. CI secure. Interesting. And they have an email. I'm gonna have to save this PDF file. I hate saying that word. The internet's ruined it. Understanding HDMI costs how to choose the right one. Yes, BB HDMI cables sound great. Google. Does the brand or cost me matter? Guys, we just need to know if they cost $10,000 for a standard HDMI cable. In contrast, standard HDMI cables for the $10,000 figure is often misrepresented. Typically, I didn't even put in that 7K res with a foil hat for no spying on your cables. True. They were doing this back in the 60s. Oh, like check the first paragraph. A signal problem. Oh, interesting. I was just looking at the... Later, Billy. Interesting. In 1962, an officer assigned a very small intelligence detachment in Japan was performing the routine duty of inspecting the area around a little crypto... Goddamn. My eyesight, dog. There we go. So in 1962, an officer assigned with a very small intelligence detachment in Japan was performing a routine duty of inspecting the area around a little crypto center, as he was required to examine the zone of a 200 feet radius to see if there was any clandestine technical surveillance. Across the street, perhaps 100 feet away, was a hospital. 100 feet was a hospital controlled by the Japanese government. He sauntered past a kind of carport jutting out from one side of the building and up and under the eaves, whatever the fuck that means. Notice, well, I'm assuming it's just like he saw something across the street. Why can't they just talk normal? Notice a particular thing, carefully concealed dipole antenna, horizontally polarized, which was leading through the solid cinder block wall to which the carport abutted. He moseyed back to his headquarters and then quickly notified the counterintelligence people and fired off a report of this find to Army Security Agency, who in turn notified the NSA, our greatest three-letter agency, guys. He was directed to examine the antenna in detail and perhaps recover it, but although the counterintelligence folks had attempted to keep the carport under surveillance that night, the antenna had mysteriously disappeared when they checked the next day. Upon the roof of the hospital was a forest of Yagi's TV antennas. By the way, huge fucking name if you're into like these are like yeah, I think it's Yagi's antennas are like highly sought after. They're like really important. They're like big with the... They're big with like the radio people, the ham radios people. Antenna mysteriously disappeared. TV antenna all pointing towards Tokyo in the newest fashion except one. That one was aimed right at the U.S. Crypto Center. You may recall the highly publicized flap, which occurred in 1964, with more than 40 microphones were discovered in the U.S. Embassy in Moscow. Most people were concerned all about the conversations that may have been overheard and the result compromise of our diplomatic plans with intentional activities associated with the embassy. We were concerned with something else. What could those microphones do to the crypto machines used there? And what were the unpublicized gadgets also found with what microphones for? Why was there a large metal grid carefully buried in the center of the ceiling, a cement ceiling over the Department of State Communications area? A grid with a wire leading off somewhere. And what was the purpose of the wire that terminated a very fine mesh of smaller hair like wires? And while we were at it, how did these finds related to the other mysterious finds and reports from behind the current reports dating clear back to 1953? Wow. Why, way back in 1954, when the Soviets published a rather comprehensive set of standards for the suppression of radio frequency interface, where those standards much more stringent for their teletypewriters and other communications equipments, other than for such a thing as dithermy machines. I don't know what that is. Industrial motors. It's probably like a machine then, like a type of like industrial machine. Machines, industrial motors, and like even though the teletypewriters were much quieter in the first place. Behind the events and questions lies a long history beginning of the discovery of the possible threat, the slow recognition of large number of variants of that threat, and the lumbering along a few months or a few years afterwards. A set of countermeasures to reduce and eliminate each new weakness that has been revealed. The problem defined. This... Interesting. Okay. There's actually something even more interesting about this. To the state general nature of the problem in brief, anytime a machine is used to process classified information electrically, the various switches, contacts, and relays and other components in the machine may emit a radio frequency or an acoustic energy. These emissions, like tiny radio broadcasts, may radiate through free space for a considerable distance, half a mile or more in some cases. Yeah, obviously under like the Newton's law, like, energy can't be destroyed or created. I guess maybe that's why radio frequencies can go so far. Or they may be introduced a nearby conductor, like signal lines, power lines, telephone lines, or water pipes can be conducted along these paths for some distance, and here we may be talking of a mile or more. That's kind of crazy. When these emissions can be intercepted and recorded, it is frequently possible to analyze them and recover the intelligence that was being processed by the source of the equipment. The phenomenon affects not only cipher machines, but any information processing equipment. Teletypewriters, I'm just assuming this is typewriters, duplicating equipment, intercoms, fast miles. I don't know what that is. Computers, you name it. But it has a special significance for crypto machines because it may reveal not only the plain text of individual messages being processed, but also carefully guarded information about the internal machine process. Thus, conceivably, the machine could be rating information which could lead to the reconstruction of our daily changing keying variables. And from a cosmic viewpoint, there is absolutely the worst thing that can happen to us. The problem of compromising radiation, we have given the cover name Tempest. Wow. Discovery by Bell Labs, AT&T of all places. Being processed a fast performance, by the way, the Tempest being processed. A fast performance, by the way, that has been rarely been equaled. The Signal Corps was impressed by this display and directed Bell Labs to explore this phenomenon in depth and provide modifications to the 131B12 mixer suppress the danger. In a matter of 6 months or so, Bell Labs has identified 3 separate phenomena and suggested 3 basic suppression measures. Shielding for radiation through space and magnetic fields, filtering for conducted signals and power lines, and masking for either suspended radio or conducted signals, but mostly space. Bell Labs went ahead and modified a mixer calling it the 313A1, and used both shielding and filtering techniques. Signal Corps took one look at it and turned thumbs down. The trouble was to contain the offending signals. Bell had to virtually encapsulate the machine instead of modifying a kit that could be sent to the field. The machines would have to be sent back to rehabilitation. The encapsulation caused problems of heat dissipation, made maintenance extremely difficult, and hampered options by limiting access to the various controls. Instead of buying this monster, the Signal Corp resorted to the only other solution they could think of. They went in and warned commanders of the problem, advised them to control a zone about 100 feet in diameter around their communication center to prevent covert interception, and let it go at it. For the next 7 years or so. The war ended, most of the people involved went back to civilian life, and files were retired, dispensed, and destroyed. Oh, so they just imagine what the files that we didn't get to see because they got fucking destroyed. So think about that one. The whole problem was apparently forgotten, and then in 1951, the problem was, for all practical purposes, rediscovered by CIA when they were toying with the same old 131B2 mixer. They reported having read plain text about a quarter mile down the signal line and asked if they were interested. Of course, we were. Some power lines and signal line filters were built and immediately installed on these equipments, and they did the job pretty well as far as conducting signals were concerned. Space radiation continued unbaitable. However, the first of many radiation policies were issued from the letter from the AFSA to all signal activities, requiring them to control a zone of 200 feet in all directions around the crypto centers, or operate at least 10 TTY devices simultaneously. The idea of masking, putting out such profusion of signals that intercept ANSO would be difficult, or get a waiver based on operational necessary. Interesting. Very crazy stuff that the government has discovered. I want to read this whole report later. There is something that I do remember, and I forgot why. I forgot about it until now. This reminds me of when the USSR, I don't know why I know this, the USSR bugged the White House. And it used no batteries. I think this was it. It's actually kind of crazy, because I think they got this with, I forgot where I learned this, with no batteries. Where do I have to find this information? It's very interesting. Sar gave Was this it? Yes. No, go away. This is it. It's kind of interesting. They have done it way more times. Of course, they've done it way more times. But I just remember this specific one. They got a gift from the Soviets. In 1946, a group of Russian children from the Vladimir Lenin All-Union Pioneer Organization, sort of a Soviet group, scouting group, presented a carved wooden replica of the Great Seal of the United States to Harriman of the U.S. Ambassador to the Soviet Union. The gift of a gesture of friendship with the USSR's World War II ally was hung in the ambassador's official residence in the house in Moscow. It stayed on there on the wall in a study for 7 years until, through an accident and a ruse, the State Department discovered that the seal was more than a mere decoration. It was a bug. The Soviets had built a listening device dubbed the Thing by the U.S. intelligence community into the replica seal and has been eavesdropping on Harriman and his successors the whole time it was in the house. It represented for that day a fantastically advanced bit of applied electronics, wrote George Kem, the ambassador at the time that the device was found. I have the impression that which is discovered the whole art of intragovernmental eavesdropping was raised to a new technological level. Diplomats and other Americans working in the USSR had long assumed that the walls of Moscow had ears. Russia's notary for eavesdropping and espionage stretches back to the Tsars. Representative Henry H. J. told the House of Representatives towards the end of the Cold War, James Buchanan U.S. administration, in Brave hamburger menu at top right, click settings, search, short content, show full list. Oh, see, I'm not the only one that calls it the hamburger menu. I said hamburger menu to someone, they're like, I don't see it. I'm like, fuck you guys. Settings, search, shorts, content filtering, show full list. Click settings. Not just pointing out the shorts, but other options in there. Settings, search. Motherfucking shirts. Shorts. Settings, search, shorts, content filtering. Am I retarded? Search is at the top right. Short. Oh, sorry. No, you're good. Search short. Oh, content filters. Content filtering. Show full list. Oh, Fanboy's anti-cheat apps. YouTube mobile distractions. Wow. Fanboy social. Bulgarian. That's funny. That's awesome. Bulgaria's on there. That's kind of funny. Bypass paywalls and clean filters. Yeah, that's good. YouTube anti-shorts. YouTube mobile recommendations. I hate that shit. Very based. This is why I love Brave. I forgot about this. People always ask why I love Brave. I don't know why people even use Firefox. Besides the rare reason. I have rare occasions. I'll have to. Mine. Some of them. Oh, some of them are yours, like you've submitted? I didn't even know you could do that. Let's see. Damn. The State Department became suspicious that the Soviet had developed a novel bug in the early 50s when British and American military operatives were modding Soviet regiment independently and accidentally picked up the voices of the receivers that apparently belonged to the respective diplomats. Those incidents and refurbished use. Wow, that's crazy. No, hell no. The picture is some of the ones I have activated. Oh, okay. No, hell no. Who knows, man? You could be making some good content filterless, writing content filter policies in your spare time. Yeah, this is when I learned about this was crazy. The anti-monopoly board game that promoted Soviet America. Yeah, there's some. The average CIA guys, average CIA part of the job. Guys, just it's part of the job. You need to get a rectal kit. This is actually every government official's rectal kit. They all have one. They don't tell you, but every single one has a rectal kit. It has their dignity in the rectal kit, and they shove it deep in their ass. And it has the number to Israel, just in case. Of course, they enjoy it. Yeah. No hate to the rectal shover enjoyers. That is crazy. The Department of Defense goes this deep for they dig real deep in their pockets for for HDMI cables and rectal security. Remember, your tax dollars, guys, paid for someone's rectal depository. Somewhere in your life, you have paid for a CIA agent to stick something up their ass. For their safety, for the good of the country, guys, for our privacy and our security. Of the country, but not internally. Remember that. So next time you open a dollar, it has went into someone's ass. How the fuck did I get that? Yeah, it's quite interesting. I do love learning about schizophrenic hacking. Just the craziest shit. That, like, obviously is going to be on national levels. Like, my favorite one, honestly, still is the fact that Facebook worked with the government to develop a vulnerability for a VLC movie. The guy that they caught was a terrible human being, so I'm not, like, sad about him getting eliminated into prison and hopefully eliminated there. But they used it to pretty much fuck Tails, make insecure plugin for VLC for Tails, and they kind of caught this guy because of it. They chorused with Facebook, which is insane. There is actually another crazy one that is kind of interesting. So the guy that shot Charlie Kirk, I just watched a really interesting long video on him. How pretty much every form of surveillance failed to find this guy, and he was like over 200 plus miles away from the scene. And the only thing that worked was just police work and the fact that he turned himself in, but police work nonetheless, proving that all this money that the government not only spends on some form of capital surveillance like Flock, and other like surveillance tools that I'm not a fan of, that my money's being used to fund, and Palantir, it's kind of sad that they need to use all these tools when they could just do good police work. And I know it's always going to be used as a form of fear-mongering. Well, don't you care about safety? I would rather live in a society, this sounds crazy, but I would rather live in a society that has a 10% crime rate than 0 and I lose my civil liberties and I can't think. I have to go into like we have to do thought crimes, pre-crimes, predetermined crimes. I would rather every day of the week us have a 10% crime rate with a 1% increase than ever go to a system that police work did shit. Yeah, his dad turned him in, but all the surveillance, all the surveillance is simply a tool like the CCTV cameras in the prison. Yeah, I'm not agreeing that they did really anything, but if anything they did anything, it was not the AI tool, all the surveillance tools that they used to catch them. It was really the dad at the end of the day, 100%. I would rather live in a free, dangerous area than be on my knees in safety. Yes, 100%. I agree. I would rather live in a free, dangerous society than ever be on my knees for safety. I agree. Like, I think it's insane that people are promoting like the National Guard being deployed to all these states. Even if you don't like California, even if you don't like Gavin Newsom, even if you don't like Portland and whoever their fucking mayor is, even if you don't like the Democratic states, they should have the right to reject all this fucking overreach, and they should have the right to deal with it themselves and not have the overreach of the current administration. Damn him. And all these bootlickers. This is why I think America's, no offense to the libertarians that are listening or ever hear this, I think America has fake libertarians. In my opinion. I think the libertarians in America are fake. Because I believe there is a difference between securing yourself through your decision making as a society and as a state, as a city, and instead of the National Guard coming over to you and you bending the knee. But again, I think a deer can be shot or a bear can be eaten, but it's free. A sheep who lives behind the fence thinks that they're safe until the wolf gets in. Yeah, 100%. And I think in most cases, actually, people would look. I understand safety is always going to be something that people empathetically are going to think about. I understand that people think safety. I can understand from a place of empathy why people want all this. Like, if you came up to me as a normal human being and you're like, we have this app that can turn on someone's phone and I could find your missing daughter right now. I could find your missing daughter, but we have the technology to turn their phone on, even if it's off state. We can see their exact location down to a foot. Who in the right mind would say, no, don't use it? everyone in some case would, from an emotional standpoint, but that's the point. It's to bank off your emotions, and it's to bank off your civil liberties and your freedom and your right to privacy. And I get it, but that's what they're doing. They're trying to take safety as an individual responsibility, not a collective one. Yeah. I think safety is something that you are always going to be individually responsible of, to a certain degree. I mean, I get like why we have the fire department. I get why we have police to handle like some form of external threats that maybe you can't handle yourself. Sure, I understand why we have a military. That's external, internal threats. But I also think that people should have the right. I think people should have the right to also protect themselves, like to a certain degree. Like obviously, like that I don't think that's a delusional take. No, we're gonna do that one. Yeah, we're gonna go that one. But I think that all these things, all of these things. Wait, oh. Are these all artifacts? I think that they do this from an emotional standpoint. It's never from a good place. In reality, it's like chat control. Safety is also an illusion. If someone wants to break in a live view, it's gonna happen. Kill you. We're not gonna use the word unalive in this bitch. We're not gonna succeed to the YouTube authoritarian word. Like, I'm gonna say suicide. I'm gonna say kill. I'm gonna say pedophile. I will not bend my knee to YouTube's language policy. It all depends on the resources and the determination. Yeah, sure. If someone wants to break in and kill you, it's gonna happen. Happens to companies that have multi-million. Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't say safety is an illusion, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I'm not gonna get semantical about it. I think safety is a perspective. If you have a better society, and you have a decent, if you have less of a wealth gap, which would probably reduce crime in a certain way, in a perspective, because people have purpose and value, and they have a monetary drive, you could say that would, in theory, create a better and safer society without compromising some form of your freedoms and your civil liberties. I wasn't trying to fuck with your channel. I stand corrected. I'm just fucking with you. I just see people say these words, and I have an issue with it because people are saying it in real public. Like when you told me, the word child porn or CP is actually problematic, and I thought about it and I agree with it. And now I don't even say that word in the context, and I even correct people. I'm like, you're complying consent. Child sexual abuse material absolutely makes the most sense. But I do see people say the word unalive, suicide, and grape. There's a very strong drive, mainly an economical one, that exists for having over-criminalization. It makes money. Yeah, of course, 100%. I mean, we house a major part of the prison system. Our prison system, I mean, you are obviously part of the system, so you already know. I don't even have to tell you, but I do think that we literally have prison systems where people become pretty much slave workers for, obviously the smallest wage you can think of humanly possible to produce products and then sell, and you have no rights because you're in prison. And that in itself is a problem. I don't even think that should be allowed. That was with only one time LinkedIn got a win. That was the only time. Yeah, seriously. By the way, LinkedIn is a shithole. LinkedIn is a shithole, but that is a win. But it is a good point, and I do think about how our language is evolving, and I don't ever want it to evolve. We have 5% of the world population with 20% of the world prisoners. Yeah. I watched a good, actually, when Vice wasn't a shithole, I watched a good thing on Vice where they were producing like e-cigs out of prisons, and they were telling them like what they make, and it was insane. The 13th Amendment states that only felons can be slaves. Yeah, isn't it? It's kind of interesting that the word felon, if you think about, so California enacted a law that people were freaking out over, and I just want to point it in perspective. It put a term limit on certain crimes that are considered for the sexual registry. If you piss in public, you can be put on it's not going to always happen, but you can be put on the sex offenders list for the rest of your life, and then you have to go to door, and you have to tell people, hey, I peed in public, I am now a sex offender, here's my name. You're forever tagged. It prevents you from getting a job. My whole viewpoint on felonies is insane, especially nonviolent felonies. Obviously, serious crimes like murder and rape, neither slavery or involuntary servitude, except a punishment for a crime where the party shall have been due convicted, shall exist within the United States. Except a punishment for a crime wherefore the party shall have been duty. And my stance generally on felons is, if you did your time and you rehabilitated yourself, I think you should get your rights back. I think you should get your gun rights back. I think you should get your voting rights back. When people ask me if felons should vote, I've always said yes, because I think that you served your time. You did your time. You should get what's the point of coming back to society? But this is why a lot of people fundamentally do never come back. This is why neither slavery or involuntary servitude, except for the punishment for a crime where this party shall have been convicted. That's crazy. Yeah, and a lot of people don't know all the amendments. I mean, that's quite literally another problem. And I'll even say that, like, I remember having a conversation with somebody, but back to the California limited it to a 10-year policy. They said, hey, you should only be, if it's for a non-sexual, non-rape, non-violent sex offender crime, you should not be on the sex offenders list for something this minor. That's crazy. And I agree with that. That is a fucking crazy thing to be put on a list for that long, for something maybe because you drank too many beers and you pissed all over the fucking I know someone personally and witnessed somebody get put on the sex offender list for pissing in public, and they got what do you call it? Indecent exposure and a disorderly conduct. They drank too much in public, and they went to jail. Got put on the sex offenders list, got the book thrown at them, slapped around, and now they're forever indentured for a mistake that I would say is almost redeemable to a ha-ha. The drinking in public is kind of crazy too. Like, of all places in America, why the fuck don't we? I do wonder why we don't have allow public intoxication, like just drinking in public. I mean, other countries like Japan, you can do it. Vegas, you can obviously do it. Germany, you can do it. It's just kind of ass backwards. All the amendments. All 27, guys. Let's read them. These are important things to know, because I think that people don't even know. Like, I think it's even good to carry around the Constitution and the Constitution and your amendments around. Like, it's good to know. Like, I believe that people do say they know their rights, but they don't exercise them. And I think rights are like muscles. You should exercise them. If you don't, they become weak. I do like the First Amendment auditors, like some of them, not all of them. Freedom of religion, speech, and press, assembly, and petition. Congress shall make no law respecting an established religion. This is something that I like to bring up to, like, religious fundamentalists and people that are like theocrats, the most delusional people on the planet. that I think that this is true. Congress shall make no law respecting an established religion or prohibiting the free to exercise therefore. I would never like to admit or take, I think people should be able to exercise whatever religion they want. And or are abridged to freedom of speech, or the press, or the right of people to peaceably to assemble and petition the government for regarding grievances. I think that's why, like, burning, I think it's been held up in court, is burning the flag is protected speech. It's a First Amendment protection, as long as obviously you're not doing damage to, like, actual someone else's property and it's your property. I think you should be able to burn the flag, and I think that it's crazy that the administration even wants to infringe upon that, and it should be challenged in court, and hopefully some retard in fucking Congress upholds it. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right to the people to keep bear arms and shall not be infringed. In one section of it, like criminal, civil, etc., if they can learn all the law in 7 years, your normie isn't. It's purposeful. If they can learn all law in 7 years, your normie isn't. Oh, yeah. Normal people aren't going to learn the law. Even if you fed lawyers infinite information and infinite cases, law is definitely very subjective to a certain standpoint. The legalese is kind of like goofy. 20,000 pages of federal law pass every 2 years. Nobody can count the number of federal law that exists. Nobody is law abiding. Take a lawyer 7 years to learn law, and even then they can only yeah, true, 100%. This is why lawyers specialize. So the state of Michigan wants to pass, I don't think it's going to get any traction, but they want to do a porn ban. And this is besides the porn. I think porn should be legal. I think people should be able to consume it. You're an adult. That's my only opinion about it. I'm not bent on it, but it wants to ban VPNs. I read the fucking law. Not the law. I read that what it wants to be passed, the section of it, and people were like, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal." They want to block it at the ISP level. That means if your ISP catches you, they have to report it. They have to report it, and you can get up to $100,000 fine and 20 years in prison. That is retarded. And this is what I'm talking about. The legal looseness of it makes it dangerous. And then I think it's ASMR. It actually can be applied to ASMR. It can be applied to books. It can be applied to manga. It can be applied to all these things. Draft what? But I do agree, yeah, like you can, I have friends that are lawyers, and they're like, yeah, there's, they specialize in shit, but they're like, there's no way that you could feed us infinite law. There's 20,000 pages of federal law passes every 2 years. Think about that. Divide that over new law. Like, I think even John Oliver talked about this. He's like, cops could never, even though being on duty 24 hours, 365, could never actually, they could practically just make up shit, and it would probably be an actual law that passed, and you wouldn't even know. You probably committed five crimes right now, just leaving your street because shit gets passed and you don't even know it because we're not informed. That's the problem. Not even just federal law, state law, local law. Stuff gets changed all the time, and you're not informed. I got informed some stuff about my state just like 2 days ago, and I was like, that's crazy. I didn't know. And I'm like politically involved and legally involved. And I was like, I don't know, because like you only got so much time in the day. The Third Amendment, quartering soldiers. Everyone forgets about the Third Amendment. No soldier shall, in a time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner. That's base and true. Nor in the time of war, but in a matter of to be prescribed by law, as it should be. Search and seizure. The Fourth Amendment doesn't exist, guys. Let's be real. The right of the people to be secure of their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued, but upon the probable cause supported by the oath and or affirmation, and particularly describes the place to be searched and the person things to be seized. Three Felonies a Day is a book by a Harvard professor on Amazon. That's what the study found. Study found is that was the number of crimes a normie commits. Yeah, that's crazy. I gotta check that book out. That sounds really cool. I believe and cops have no. I think they can lie. I'm pretty sure, but I believe also they could just say, "Oh, I smell marijuana," and that's enough. Prove that you didn't smell marijuana, and then they can just search you. And getting a warrant's so easy now. I think they've explained it. Like, warrants are super easy to get now. It's not like they have to make a call or anything. Warrants are very easy to get. They're not. It's not like it was like 30, 40 years ago. The Fifth Amendment: grand jury, double jeopardy, self-incrimination, due process talkings. My favorite law against law enforcement. There's actually a really cool YouTuber called I wish I could be a lawyer.
Hassan Piker has stooped to a new
about law. Two or more persons on the premises of another. Also 242. This is called Legal Mindset. I love it. I like his content because he's quick. He's like, his shit's quick and fast. And he talks about like law shit. Very interesting YouTube channel. He goes into some longer stuff, but I like fast law. Wait, two or more persons on the premises of another. There's actually one that's crazy. So there was a First Amendment auditor who went into the post office, which you're allowed to legally record. It's within our right to record it because it's, I believe it's the First Amendment, and then Section 7 or Article 7 on the post. We're allowed to go into like non-restrictive areas, obviously, and record because it's our tax dollars and it's public property. But I want to see this 242 U.S. Code 18. I gotta see that. Actually, we'll read that quick. Whoever under color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom willfully subjects to any person. Wait, I gotta finish my thought. So they. Law enforcement got called for a disturbance, quote unquote disturbance, because they were in the post office, and I gotta read 2 for once. They went in there with their firearms and it was nonviolent. It was not actually a call of a disturbance. They went in with their firearms, and technically, I read the law, they committed a crime. Because they were on postal property that wasn't official duty, and they had a firearm in them, which is illegal. It was really funny. It was just funny to think about. Whoa, okay, conspiracy against rights? What? This is interesting. 18 U.S. Code 241, conspiracy against rights. If two or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise or enjoyment of any rights or privilege secured to him by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or to become his because of his having so exercised the same, or if two or more persons go in disguise on the highway or on the premise of another with the intent to prevent or hinder his free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege so secured, they shall be fined under this title or impersonation, impressioned not more than 10 years or both. If death results in the acts of commit in violation of the section, if such acts include kidnapping or attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, or attempted to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or attempt to kill, they shall be fined under the title imprisonment for any terms of years or life, or both may be sentenced to death. Crazy. Okay, so conspiracy against rights. So that's if somebody's trying to infringe on your rights. Interesting. By the way, people get life in prison wrong all the time. I have to argue about this. Life in prison means life. Everybody thinks it's 20 years. From what I understand is 20 years, it can be life with the possibility, quote unquote, that's the word, possibility of parole. Parole means that you have the option to be able to obviously get released, but parole can be denied and you can literally spend life in prison and die in prison, which people do all the time. But this is just the point that I make, that, you know, Americans are kind of retarded about their own legal system to a certain degree. But life in prison has been under my assumption that it's always life. Like, you're doing life. If you have the possibility of parole, sure. But I'm pretty sure it's not just 20 years. And all right, hey, state dictates that can be 20 or 25 or life in the state. Federally, life is just that. Yeah. That's always been my understanding, that federally life is just, yeah, life is, you're in there for the rest of your life until you no longer breathe. And I wonder if, with that wording, if you die and come back to life, can you be released? If you die and come back to life, can you be released? With the wording, I technically served a life sentence, I died, and I came back. Am I no longer... I'm wondering if that's even possible. It's an interesting thought to even have. Okay, so I'm assuming that with this, that if two or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, or threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district of a free exercise and enjoyment of any right, privilege secured by him by the Constitution and laws. So if someone tries to infringe on my rights, they'd be conspiring that. A free man, Lazarus style. Just don't tell me you're a sovereign citizen. Those people are funny. So next, I'm going to read the next one. Deprivation of rights under color of law. Check out 14, and I will show you these in action. Whoever, under color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or customs, willfully subjects any persons in any state's territory, commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or different punishments, pains, and penalties on account of such person being an alien, or by the reason of his color or race, than are prescribed for the punishment of citizens. Man, these words are fucking hurting my brain. Shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 1 year, or both. If bodily injury results in the acts of commitment in violation of the section, if such acts include the use, attempt use, or threatened use of a dangerous weapon, explosive, or fire, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years, or both. And if death results in the acts of committed in violation of the section, or such acts include kidnapping or attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, or attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or attempt to kill, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned in a term of 10 years, or life, or both, or maybe sentenced to death. I'm just confused on what the fuck this is. This is a lot of, like, from what I get, it is conspiracy against. If someone infringes on your rights and deprive me of my rights, they can be fined or charged. Like, if someone violates if a cop comes up and violates my First Amendment rights, are you saying they could be arrested and or death penalty? Interesting. Like, if huh? Is this it? Is this? I don't think this is it. Bible study? Let me just go to YouTube and put that in. Yeah, I'm assuming this is not it. Oh, it's cause I think it's because you have the watch. Read the video titles. I just want to let everyone know that if you put that in, the word watch, epic. Let me see if it does this. Man, I'm a real boom. I'm looking like a... Okay, no. I'm a real boomer when it comes to this shit, I guess. Wow, 12 years.
No, sir. I don't have anything I'd like to say to you gentlemen at all. Are you public servants?
Let's see your right hand, please.
Are you public employees?
Before I watch this, there is actually nothing. Send it to you on Matrix. I found it. But thank you. Before I watch this, there is something actually to think about. There is nothing illegal about putting your hands in your pocket. But when cops stop, even if you're doing nothing and a cop's just like starts talking to you and they're like, take your hands out, you don't have to. But there's nothing illegal about putting your hands in your pocket. This is where the legal talk and the fear-mongering and the kneeling gets crazy. This just makes me think of it, but I want to...
Are you public employees?
But people take their hands out of their pockets and they just comply. Like, they always say it's for safety. It's just interesting to think about that. There's no penal code. There's no requirement for you to remove your hands from your pockets, but they tell you to for their safety. How the fuck are you gonna hide a gun in your fucking like your skinny jeans? You know what I mean? Rep the skinny jeans, my dogs. Or anything, and especially if they're constantly looking at you and they're armed, I don't know. It's just it's Clown Town. It's weird.
Sir, what's your name?
What's your name?
Deputy Sparza. What's your name, sir?
I'm just gonna step out here real quick.
All right, just don't get too close. Okay?
All right, cool.
Can you drop your cigarette, please?
Oh no, this isn't a weapon, sir. I'm just gonna back away from you if you feel unsafe.
Okay.
I do remember a cop asking me once to stop smoking, and I was like, I don't have to. It's not a weapon. I was like, why? First, I'm gonna pause so I don't get hit with a copyright strike. But I remember when pocket sand. I've always wanted to use pocket sand as a weapon, guys. Just one pocket sand in a fight. Like if someone tries to fight me, I just want to pocket sand someone. But like I remember one time I was smoking in front of a cop, and they were like questioning me about, if you're scared, don't be a cop. It's like being scared and fire in your... Yeah, sure, yeah, 100%. Don't forget, remember acorns, guys. Remember the acorn guy? If you're aware of the acorn, that was crazy. My ADHD's kicking in, but that I just remember the acorn cop. That is the most... I mean, we need to get rid of qualified immunity, honestly. I love this video. I really do. This is... The fact that this fucking guy in the car did not die is more frightening. I hope he sued them into the fucking dirt. This is just... He magged. I mean, because that's like cops' motive. That's cops' entire motive. They have to. I understand it. Like they have to mag dump. They're not gonna not mag dump. Anyone who thinks that like they're gonna shoot they're just shoot him in the leg, guys, or shoot him in the arm. No, they're taught to mag dump. So just remember that.
What?
This man lives.
This is my dwelling. I actually live here. I'm just gonna step around you guys like this.
But I remember a cop telling me to not smoke in front of him. I was like, I'm like, we're in public space. I can smoke. Like, you can just. I told him to step away from me. He was pissed about it, but he stopped me for something stupid.
Is that all right with you? Excuse
Because
me.
he thought I was looking sus. I was looking a little too undercover, and I was like, I think like maybe 20 at the time. He's like, you look kind of sus. I'm like, cool. Still gonna smoke because we're in public.
Excuse me, deputy. I'm just gonna come around you. Excuse me, sir. Thank you, Westall.
I no longer smoke cigarettes though, guys. So if you smoke, quit because it makes you cool and not smell like doo doo. And don't
This
vape.
is my
Vaping's
this
gay.
is my home. I live here.
Vaping's kind of gay.
So what's going on with you and your dad?
Are you a public servant, sir?
This is how you know it's old YouTube is when they had a website created with a non-active version, and they had a
public
website
servant?
as the
public
watermark in the
employee?
middle. I love it. Reminds me of funny
Have you
YouTube.
ever been treated for mental illness before?
Sir, are you a public servant?
Have you ever taken any sex?
Sir, are you a public servant?
Anything
Are you going to identify yourself to me?
Ever been hospitalized?
Do you have 3 forms of identification? I need to see your badge, a business card, and a photo identification if you'd like to contract with me, sir. I do not believe that I have a contract with you, and I'm obligated to answer any of your questions. If you'd like to contract with me, we can do so. If you provide me 3 forms of ID, I'd love to.
Contract with you?
Is that what you're trying to do with me, sir? Are you trying to contract with
You
me?
said what's contract with you? What's that mean?
I don't know. What are you trying to do with me, sir? Are you operating as a public official right now? Are you a public servant?
What do you think?
I'm asking you a direct question, yes or no? The master asks the questions and the servant answers them.
You are.
Wouldn't that be
the
correct?
answer to it.
No. The master asks the questions and the servant answers them. I don't work for you, sir. I don't answer your questions, Sergeant. You answer mine. So I'm asking you a question. Are you a public servant? You are. You are a public servant, aren't you? I actually have a contract with you and your principal, which would be the sergeant or the sheriff who is a public employee and publicly elected official of the county of Los Angeles. The people collectively, citizens, elected him to represent us to keep the peace. So he has delegated his authority to each one of you individuals, I'm assuming, who are operating in an official capacity as a legal entity of which I'm not obligated to contract with unless I choose to do so. And I don't choose to do so, sir. So unless you have 3 forms of ID right now, I don't even believe that you're in your uniform. Okay? And honestly, I'm feeling really threatened right now. I would appreciate it if you'd step away from me because I see 3 or 4 armed people with armed or deadly weapons and I feel threatened. So would you please just back away from me because I'm at my dwellings. This is my house. I live here. Okay? So would you please just back up, Sergeant?
The crazy thing is, I remember being at a party once, and somebody came, like the police came for some noise ordinance. We weren't even being loud, but they came from noise ordinance. We just told them no, like you can't enter. They're like, you know, you can't enter. And it was that simple. And they listened. They left. They're like, just be quiet. And like, all right.
Nope.
We're not on your property.
Well, I feel threatened right now. And you're actually...
Attempt to threaten individual. Remember that. Now you know why he said it. Attempt to threaten an individual. Interesting. Two forms of color. Okay, hold on. My brain's kicking in. Hold on. We need to look up 18. And 241. And this is US code, so I'm assuming this is, remember the law you read? Yeah. I don't remember what I did 5 minutes ago, Sam. Let alone 30 seconds. If 2 or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, or threaten... Yes. Yes, I remember now. U.S. code is, I believe, constitutional code, right? Like, this is, like, on a federal level. Conspiracy to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate a person in any state. Yeah, yeah. So this is, like, the highest level of code, I'm assuming. This is, yeah, so it's federal law. So, like, this is, like, the highest level. Whoever under color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or customs willfully subject to any persons in any state. Yeah, I believe a First Amendment auditor said, he's like, if you want to make money, just go out in public, do First Amendment audits, and get violated. Like, cops violate people's rights all the time and just sue the fuck out of them. No, federal law is different. Constitutional law is the highest. Then, oh, okay, so this is still, like, very
Armed with
high.
deadly
So,
weapons?
higher than state, yeah, so. But yes, constitutional, I'm retarded. Constitutional is the supreme law of the land. Federal law is above the state law and then the state. Yeah.
So
Interesting.
this is aggravated. Everything you're doing right now.
I'm going to assume that color of law is maybe uniform.
Because this is actually intimidation. You're attempting to intimidate me from exercising my constitutionally protected rights. Which would be a violation of what? Any of you guys know? Title 18, you want me to read it to you?
Why don't you tell us?
Okay, cool. That would be a violation of Title 18 of the United States Court of Law, or United States Code of Law. Okay? Title 18, Chapter 13, subsection 241, 242. Right here. Part 1.
Oh no, guys, his hand tattoos and he's brown, I think. They're fucked.
Chapter 13, subsection 241 of the United States Code of Law. If 2 or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, or possession, or district in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured to them by the Constitution or the laws of the United States, or having so exercised them, if 2 or more persons go in disguise on a highway or the premises of another, which is what it really seems to me like what you guys are doing right now. You're on the premises of another, acting under a color of law. Does anyone know what color of law is? Anyone? Sergeant, I know you do. Come on. What's color of law? Color of authority? You guys don't know what color of law is?
Why don't you tell us?
Color of law is where you're in an official uniform right now. You're acting as a public employee.
My third IQ unlocked, and I knew what he was going to say, guys. Chat, my brain is growing 3 times now. Interesting.
You're wearing a uniform of the state, acting with the authority of the state. And therefore, when you breach your duty as a public official, now your bonds become up for grabs for people like me to go and file claims against you in the county. I go and get your badge numbers, and I go and I write a claim against the county. And I say that, hey, this public employee came to my house with a gun, and they intimidated me from exercising. I'm told you right now, I feel intimidated.
We're not brandishing weapons at you.
Well, there's 4 armed men
We're not pointing them.
and women who refuse to
See? He said armed men and women. Very diverse of him. Very based 12 years ago.
produce 3 forms of ID upon my request. What, 3 times now? Are you guys public servants or public employees? You won't even identify yourselves. I don't care if you're wearing a badge and a uniform. I can go get a fucking costume and wear the same shit and walk around with a gun. Oh my god, I got a shiny medallion and a gun. So what?
He's right, actually. There's something that I just came across just recently. This is completely on topic, surprisingly, with my ADHD kicking in. There was a supposed ICE agent, like an agent, that showed up to somebody's house, this guy's house, and his suspicion meter started going off, and I believe he shot the guy. Or it was vice versa, and the guy shot him. Like, it was a fake cop, essentially. Because he was paranoid. Yeah, it's actually crazy. I think it suits fake cop in his house. This is like very recent. I don't know where I heard this, but Minnesota assassin poses a police to offer to carry out shootings. No, that's not it. Some guy, all I remember is like some cops showed up to this guy's house and his third IQ like fucking like went through the roof and was like, this doesn't seem right. And they weren't real cops. I think he killed one of them. I believe.
That doesn't mean anything.
It's
You have
interesting.
to have 3 forms of ID. The Supreme Court said that, right? Here we go.
They're like, damn it, he knows too much, guy. They walk off is when they know you know too much. They're like, damn, this man is educated. I'm out.
Shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both. Give me another cigarette, bro.
Wow. Even more impressive is when you're educated about the law and they're not. It's kind of
No, sir.
interesting because these are the people that are supposed to uphold the law. So it's even more embarrassing. And I believe New Mexico got rid of affirmative immunity, qualified immunity. They got rid of qualified immunity, and the cops started acting different because they could be personally sued. The issue is that sheep don't know the law because they're not taught that in government ran schools. Yeah, I'm not going to blame the citizens to a certain degree because I think that there's only so much that you have in the day. I think humans can always have the reability. Maybe I'm an optimistic person. I think people have the ability to relearn and educate themselves at any point in time. But that's crazy. That's just one. And like you said, there's over 20,000 changes every 2 years. So that's on the federal level. If I'm correct, that's insane. That's a lot for people to learn. Maybe they should. I mean, people should learn like the amendments at the most. Grand jury double jeopardy is what we were on, I think. No person shall be held to answer for capital or otherwise infamous crimes unless on a precedent or indictment of a grand jury, except in the cases arising in the land or a naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in the time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process or law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. It's self-defense, which is on the individual. It's made to be impossible for people to learn. Yeah. That's why you have expensive. Why lawyers can charge what they want. If you think about it, most people. I don't think we've been able to successfully. What was the last self-defense case win? What was the last lawyered? Self-representative. The last notable case where an individual successfully represented themselves in a court case and won provided information is Stephen Carbon's civil case against Vivian Better, 2022, Caban, an Arizona prisoner with no formal legal training, successfully sued Baltera, a deputy warden, for violating his First Amendment right to pursue redness. He represented himself before a federal district court jury wearing his prison uniform and secured a liable verdict and financial judgment against Balteria for her retaliatory behavior. This case stands as a recent example of self-representative individuals achieving a favorable outcome in a legal matter. And there are tons of them. If you're determined, you're better off. In my opinion, lawyers don't give a shit about you, no matter how much you pay. I represent myself in one. Well, you got to forget, Sam, you can read. At this Supreme case canon, famous cases where someone acted as their own lawyer and won a trial. I'm not sure if it's a famous case, but it's a highly important one in terms of civil rights. Edward Lawson said, oh, interesting. Let me see this one. 10 years ago. Edward C. Lawson. Edward C. Lawson, born 1946. Damn, he only lived. Is an African-American civil rights activist who won the responding case of Lawson in 4061 U.S. Code, U.S. 352, 1983, in which the United States Supreme Court ruled that California statute authorizing a police officer to arrest a person for refusing to present identification was unconstitutionally vague. Based, actually. Though goes into why we were talking about self-sufficiency. The ability to read, though, goes, yeah, I mean, reading is important. Personal life, aside from his historic landmarks, very few biological details are known about Lawson. It may describe Lawson at the time, but mysterious, even secretive, said the owner of the San Francisco-based business in 1982. He was reportedly a vegetarian and claimed that he was entirely sober, refusing all drugs and alcohol. Boo! Just kidding. 1993, he avoided discussing extensively how he makes a living, only indicating that maybe he ran a business in Los Angeles and was a member of the Screen Actors Guild. Never heard of that. Oh, yeah. Lawson is a protagonist in Colander versus Lawson, a significant civil rights case between 75 and 77. While living in San Diego, Lawson was arrested 15 times for violating a California law which made illegal wandering, quote unquote. I'm out. Have a good night. Great live, dude. Thanks. Appreciate it, Sam. You have a good night. This is actually kind of an interesting case. Which made illegal wandering, quote unquote, upon the streets and failing to provide identity when prompted by a peace officer. He believed that his arrests were racially discrimination, noting that he was an African American man who went for walks in his mostly white neighborhood. He challenged them constitutionally of the law in court in 1983. The Supreme Court ruled that the statute was unconstitutional, vague in the latitude in providing police to determine what constitutes a violation. This is actually kind of cool. The case is historic importance not only because the California statute was voided, but also because it's one of the few examples of an ordinary citizen successfully representing himself all the way through the U.S. District Court. By the time the case arrived at the Supreme Court, he was represented by an attorney, Robert H. Lynn. Though the American Civil Liberties Union, Lawson received political support at the time from the prominent black leaders, including Jesse Jackson, activist comedian Dick Gregory, U.S. Congresswoman Max Waters D. Los Angeles, and U.S. Congressman John Coyers D. Detroit. 1983, Carl Stern and CBS Evening News, Supreme Court reported, commented that the case was the most reported U.S. Supreme Court case that year. Stern was referring to the front page newspaper articles, blah, blah, blah. Harvard University law professor Lawrence Chubb commented during an appearance on the Oprah Winfrey case that was the last time the U.S. Supreme Court had decided in favor of a defendant of a civil rights case of this magnitude. California Penal Code 647 was repealed by the Commonwealth Legislature in 2008. Finally, I think it is actually loser behavior to be able to require ID when you just randomly because you're walking in society. There is a case of Jackie Dinorscio, a mobster who, along with several of his compatriots, were tried under RICO. He basically worked the room like a stand-up and eventually cleared himself and his buddies of all charges, but he was already in jail for unrelated charges, so there he stayed. There's a great movie called Find Me Guilty about the whole ordeal. It has Vin Diesel playing totally against type, and most courtroom dialogue is taken directly from the court transcript. Holy shit! Director Sidney, 12 Angry Men, Lunatic, Vin Diesel, and Peter Dinklage, based on a true story. Well, Find Me Guilty. That's interesting. Gideon versus Wainwright, i.e., the case where the Supreme Court said that the 14th Amendment requires states to appoint counsel for indigent defendants. Gideon was accused of burglary. He went to trial as his own attorney, asking the state to appoint counsel for him. At the time, Florida only appointed counsel for capital, read the death penalty, crimes. The courts would not appoint counsel for Gideon, so he acted as his own attorney at trial. Basically, to prove his own innocence, he was convicted and sent to 5 years. From inside prison, Gideon appealed the case and to the U.S. Supreme Court, arguing that the indigent defendant had a right to counsel under the 14th Amendment. The Supreme Court agreed that to hear his case, and he appointed Abe Fortress, a future Supreme Court justice, widely regarded as one of the best appeals attorneys in the country. To be Gideon's attorney on appeal. The Supreme Court then unanimously held that the Constitution guarantees that the indigent defendant in every state of the U.S. were entitled to appointed counsel. So technically, Gideon wasn't his own attorney in front of the Supreme Court, but he was his own attorney elsewhere and ultimately won the case. Plus, you couldn't make the shit up, edit words. There is a belief that Gideon did not write his appeal briefs, according to the attorney who argued on his behalf. Florida, Gideon's cellmate, was a judge who was convicted of murdering another judge and his wife, goddamn, then believed this judge had some sort of role in the appeal, but what Gideon did is still pretty remarkable. Even that is fucking crazy. Wow. Back to the amendments, guys. Oh yeah, Fourth Amendment. Remember, you don't got that? I love reading cases like that. It's kind of interesting. Right to a speedy trial by jury, witness, counsel. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by impartial jury of the state and district where then the crimes shall have been committed, which districts shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and the cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witness against him, and to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. Jury trial civil lawsuits. In suits at common law where the value of the country shall exceed $20. Nice. The right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined by any court in the United States than according to the rules of common law. What if it's $19.99 and 99 cents? The Ninth Amendment, the most untalked about one. The enumeration in the Constitution of a certain right shall not be constructed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. What does that mean? Common interpretations of legal theory at although there is much dispute among the Constitution scholars about the meaning of the legal effect of the Ninth Amendment, there is a consensus about its origins. During the ratification debates over the Constitution, some opponents of the ratification, anti-federalist, what? Yeah, we're about to find out. I have no idea what the fuck the Ninth Amendment is. The enumeration of the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. I have no idea what that means. I'm retarded. Anti-federalists viciously complained about the absence of a Bill of Rights. In response, supporters of the Constitution, federalists, like people that are like, hell yeah, such as James Wilson, argued that a Bill of Rights would be dangerous. Enumerating any rights, Wilson argued, might imply that all those not listed were surrendered. That's kind of a good thought, actually. If you think about it, all rights that are not listed could be surrendered, aka you don't have them. So you would have to list maybe like an infinite amount of rights. Nevertheless, because the anti-federalist demand for a Bill of Rights resonating with the public, Federalists like James Madison countered with a pledge to offer amendments after the Constitution's ratification. As a representative from Virginia to the first Congress, Madison repeatedly insisted, over both indifference and vocal oppositions, that the House take up the issue of the amendments. In a now famous and much analyzed speech, he introduced a list of amendments that he proposed to be inserted with the text of the Constitution so as literally to amend or change it. For example, he proposed that there be prefixed to the Constitution and declaration that government is instituted and ought to be exercised for the benefits of the people, which consist in the enjoyment of life and liberty and the right of acquiring and using property, and generally of pursuing and obtaining happiness and safety. At the end of the list of the rights to be added, Article 1, Section 9, were the individual rights of habeas corpus was located, Madison would have placed the language that the forerunner of the Ninth Amendment. The exceptions here or elsewhere in the Constitution made in favor of particular rights shall not be so construed as diminished as the importance of the other rights retained by the people, or as to enlarge the powers of delegated by the Constitution, but either as actual limitations such powers as inserted merely for great caution. By contrast, Madison proposes that the provision that eventually became the 10th Amendment to be inserted after Article 6 and the new Article 7. In his speech, Madison explained his proposed prosecution of the Ninth Amendment in terms of that connected directly with the Federalist objections to the Bill of Rights. It has been objected also against the Bill of Rights that by enumerating particular exceptions to the grant of power, it would disparage those rights which were not placed in the enumeration, and it might follow by implication that those rights which were not singled out were intended to be assigned to the hands of the general government and were consequently insecure. This is one of the most plausible arguments I have ever heard urged against the admission of a Bill of Rights into the system, but I conceive that it may be guarded against. All of Madison's proposals were then referred to selected committee of which he was made a member, along with the others such as Roger Sherman of Connecticut. Lots of thinking. Oh, this is deep. Oh, Madison, Connecticut. The committee dropped Madison's proposal to declaration and rewrote his Ninth Amendment proposal to read it as today's. The enumeration of Constitution of certain rights shall not be so it prevents each individual state to change, represent, or give up the amendments in part or its entirety. I'm assuming that the immersion of certain rights shall not be constructed or denied or disparaged by others, retaining it by the people. So I'm assuming like other states can't rip away your Bill of Rights or your constitutional rights. They can't go above it. They can't change like Texas can't be like your First Amendment doesn't apply here because we don't believe in it, and Ohio can't be like your Second Amendment right doesn't apply here because we're Ohio and we're gay. You know. Since its interactive, scholars judges have argued about the Ninth Amendment's meaning and its legal effect, and the courts have rarely relied upon it. During his failed confirmation hearing to become the Supreme Court Justice in 1987, Robert Bork analyzed the amendment into a inkblot which hid the constitutional text that was under in it, just as judges should not guess what was under an inkblot. He argued so that they should not guess at the Ninth Amendment's meaning. Bork's very public denial that any meaning of the amendment could be discovered fueled intense academic interest in original meaning of the text. Interesting. In contrast, the federalism approach advocate Kurt Lash, Randy Barnett would give the provisional. Wow, that's interesting. I need to dig deeper into the Ninth Amendment. That's an interesting amendment to even think about. Honestly, it's a lot of thinking. Rights to reserve states, or people. The powers do not delegate the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibit by the state, and are reserved for the states respectively or to the people. That's interesting. Suits against states. The judiciary power of the United States shall not be constructed to extend any suit in law or equity commenced or prosecuted against one of the United States by citizens or another state, or by citizens or subject of any foreign state. Election of president and vice president, the 12th Amendment. The election shall meet the respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president, one whom at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state within themselves. Oh yeah, this is where they can't, like, you and your vice president can't be from this. It's very short, but it's a tad complicated to understand. Yeah, it's very complicated. I want to like dig deep into it. It seems very interesting. Yeah, this is the one where you cannot be from the same state. I know this one. Like, I know of this one. And they shall not, so they shall make a distinct list of all persons who voted for as president, and all of persons voted for, persons voted for as vice president, and the number of votes for each, which they list, shall sign and clarify and transmit, sealed to the seal of the governments of the United States, direct the persons. Yeah. Ooh. And if the House of Representatives shall not choose a president whenever the right to choice to devolve them before the 4th day of March next following the year, vice president shall not act as president in the case of a death or for a constitutional disability of the president. The person having the greatest number of votes as vice president shall be the vice president, and if such number are the majority of the electoral seat. Yeah, we get that. We gets it. We know. Thirteenth Amendment, abolition of slavery. 14th Amendment, citizen rights, equal protection, appointments, and Civil War debt. Interesting. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction, therefore, are citizens of the United States and of the state where they reside in. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge this privilege or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, and or property without the due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Anyway, I'm going to dip now because I'm hella tired. Now you guys have a very interesting certain magna of sorts. Good night, have fun. Thanks, appreciate you joining the stream. I hope to see you later. And have good sleep. Representatives shall be appointed among several states, including the representative members, counting the whole number of the person in each state, excluding Indians not taxed. Fuck. But when the rights to vote at any election for the choice of electors, president and vice president of the United States, representatives in Congress, the executive and judicial office of a state, or the members of the legislature, therefore, is denied to any male inhabitant such a state, being 21 years of age and citizen of the United States, in any other word, Section 3. No person shall be a senator or president in Congress or elected of the president and vice president or any office, civil or military, under the United States or any state who have been previously taken oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature, or excluding judiciary office of any state, to support the Constitution under the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies therefore, but Congress may by a vote 2/3 each house remove such disability. The validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by the validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payments of pensions and bounties for services, is surpassing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned, but neither the United States nor any states shall assume or pay any debt or obligation incurred in aid of infrastructure rebellion against the United States, or claim the loss of emancipation of any slave. But all such debts, obligations, claims shall be held illegal and void. Congress shall have no power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article. Interesting. The right to vote. The right of citizens of the United States shall vote, not be denied by alleged by the United States of any state accounted race, color, or previous condition of servitude. The Constitution, the Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate. Okay, yeah. Section 2. Income tax. Interesting. Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever source derived without appropriation among several appointment among the several states and without regard to any census or immersion. Popular election of senators, prohibition of liquor, women's rights to vote. Boo! Just kidding. Presidential term and succession, repeal of the right to vote at 18. Congressional compensation. No law varying the compensation for service of the states or representatives shall take effect until the election of representatives shall have inverted. The 27th Amendment. The right of citizens of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of age. Congress shall have the power to enforce. Yeah, you should be able to vote at 18 and fight for your country. President will see in succession. In the case of removal of the president from office or his death or resignation, the vice president shall become president. Whenever there is a vacancy in the office, the president shall nominate a vice president who shall take office upon confirmation of the majority of vote by the House of Congress. Whenever the president transmits to the president pro tempore of the state or senate, House representative his written declaration he is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, and he is terminated with written declaration of the contrary. Such powers duties shall be discharged by the vice president as acting president. Pretty much VP, 25th Amendment. VP can come. Abolition of poll tax. The citizens states to vote in any primary and other election of president, vice president, for elected presidents or vice presidents shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state reason failure to pay a poll tax or other tax. Congress, yeah, you shouldn't have to pay a tax to fucking vote. I know there's voter haters out there, but presidential vote for D.C. The districts constituting the seat of government of the United States shall appoint such manner as Congress may direct a number of electors, the president and vice president, equal to the whole number of senators represented in Congress within to which the district would be entitled if they were a state, but there is no event more than at least previous states. They shall be in addition to those appointees. Okay, yeah. No one cares about D.C. apparently. 2-term limit on presidency. Repeal of prohibition and presidential term succession. Oh, interesting. These are all based takes. You should know your rights and carry on the Constitution. And look up really cool cases, guys. All right, y'all. I'll see you in the next live stream or video or both. And my podcast is coming out in 3 hours. Later. Don't forget to argue in the comments for the algorithm.